possible groups with our results and with our outputs. So in the dissemination process, we are sharing the results, the lessons learned, the outcomes, the findings, and we are expected to share those information outside of the partnership, so to some other organizations which are in our cooperation network and also wider. And if there is no dissemination, there will be no impact on the surroundings, on the environment, and probably the money could be regarded as kind of wasted by the funding authority. So dissemination is quite an important part of the project realization and the project implementation and evaluation. There are some challenges attached, as for any other part of the project. The dissemination, well, from my perspective, a challenge is that dissemination is quite a demanding task, but it does not have like a separate additional budget line. So it's always a struggle how to do a good dissemination without really having a budget for it. This is the case in the Erasmus Plus program. In the other grant programs, it may differ, but usually it's not so much. So lucky you, those of you who work for organizations that have an external communication specialist, because this person can help you a lot with sharing information about your project achievements. For those organizations who do not have an extra person who do the information outside, share the information outside of the organization, there will be a challenge to find time and resources for doing the good dissemination. But still, we are obliged to do it. We should do it, and it's really needed, and it's really beneficial also for us, because it lets us promote ourselves as well, as a competent people, as a professional organization that offers valuable offer to the clients. And maybe it's also worth to show how the dissemination is embedded in the wider process, which is overall promotion of our activities. It's just a part of a promotion, and it relates mostly to the outputs and results of the activities that we do. So it's a kind of a special messages in the frames of the overall promotion of our activities. Some definitions, which are definitions, maybe just words which are worth to know. The dissemination strategy, we use the word valorization, and it's a term which includes both dissemination and exploitation. Dissemination means just to spread widely, and the aim is to provide information as wide as possible and to achieve some kind of awareness rising in the subject area we are working in. Exploitation means make use and derive benefit from. So exploitation would be really possible at the level when you already have some knowledge, some methods, some other results and outputs ready to transfer to the other parties. So it could result in maybe improved practices in other organizations, not only yours, maybe some changes in the policies that could influence the outside environment. And during the project, dissemination can take place from the very beginning of the project, and it intensifies as the results and outcomes become available. While exploitation can happen only when it becomes possible to transfer what has been produced, as I said before. So exploitation appears on the latter stages of the project realization. And an important thing is that exploitation should reach beyond the life of the project. The results and output should be as much sustainable as possible, because this is not the case to just do something once and then everyone forgets about it. The EU projects are about to produce something sustainable, which could be used also later. For example, in this project, apart from a training or mentoring, we also designed and are running this first network portal, which gathers the relevant information for first-time international project realizers. And of course, the portal will be available also after the project ends. And we already have a plan how to sustain it for the next year or year and a half. And then probably we'll be searching for solutions to have it sustained even longer. So this will be a kind of a sustainable element of the project. Before I start with some other terms, I would like to come back to a slide from the presentation from Tuesday when we spoke about a project concept. And here I would like to remind the link which leads to the target groups of the projects we are doing, because we are doing the things, we are doing the project for the other people, for the other organizations, not for ourselves only. So first we have a need, a challenge that needs to be addressed, and the need is closely related to specific people, to specific target groups. It could be also organizations, institutions, not only single persons. And here, among those people we are designing solutions for, we have so-called direct target groups, direct that will be participating somehow in our projects and then can multiply the results of the project, like use it and promote it further. We would have indirect target groups that could mainstream and promote the results. Maybe they will not use them directly, but they may inform about it and promote it. And we have end users, those persons who benefit from the project results. At the moment, for example, you may be perceived as end users. You are testing some training program. You are the first to try it. And the intention is that the training program would be available also later in the future for the other so-called end users. So as you can see, there is a specific terminology which needs to be understandable for you as project managers and project designers. Some new words. And here you have another new words, maybe for some of you. I guess the last one, new words, but still. We spoke about the exploitation, so use, not only dissemination, but also use of the results you will produce during the project. If it would be an internet portal, or if it would be a training program, or if it would be a new methodology of working with, for example, young unemployed, whichever it would be, the exploitation can be done on 3 levels. The first level is called embedding, and it's referring to the results that are anchored or embedded in the normal practice of the organizations participating in the project. So, for example, we here at FAIE, when we design this training program and when we design the mentoring cooperation concept, we expect to use this knowledge and those tools in our future work. Even if this project ends, we will be probably using those methods also in the future with some other organizations. So the results we have achieved, the outputs we have produced, may be embedded in our common practice. On the second level, you have so-called multiplication, which refers to convincing the other members of the direct target groups and end users to adopt or apply the results in their own practice. So here in this project, we hope that other civil society organizations, that those involved in the project, would be maybe interested in training their staff to support them in the role of international project realizers. This way they could multiply the work we've done, because our work will be available for all interested after the project ends. We also hope for new end users, so the persons who will be using the methods developed. Maybe some education department in any city would get interested. Maybe some public sector educational institutions would be interested to have a project management line in their curricula. So this is the multiplication. And then we have the highest level, which is not available in all the project, which is called mainstreaming. And this refers to transferring the results and initiatives to appropriate decision makers and other multipliers in local, national, or European systems that can support the use of the new results. These are indirect target groups. For example, this is a special kind of projects like advocacy projects. When you are dealing with some serious social challenges, like, for example, environmental issues or maybe violence against women, then you may develop solutions that you expect that if they would be implemented on the local, regional, national level as new or improved policies, it will make a change for better in this area. And if it happens, it would be mainstreaming. So including the results of the project in the policies. And then we come to a reminder about the various target groups of exploitation. You would need to define the target groups of your dissemination exploitation at the design level and then conduct this dissemination to those target groups. So again, we have those direct target groups that usually come from the same field as the organizations doing the project, that have direct access to the end users, and they may use the results in similar activities. So as I said before, in our project, the other civil society organizations having the lifelong learning line, which can use the methods developed here in this project for their activities. Then we have the indirect target groups, and this refers to decision makers, other multipliers. They may have indirect access to the end users, and they might be by political, economic, ideological reasons interested in supporting your results, the results of your projects. There was, some times ago, there was a community initiative called Equal in Europe. It was implemented like 2003, 2006. And it was like a typical mainstreaming project, because the aim of the international partnerships was to develop solutions for a job market in Europe. And the intention was that the solutions will be then implemented in practice. Those were quite a long projects, quite complex projects, very challenging projects. Not all of them brought an example, a good solution, but as you can for sure understand, if you plan a mainstreaming, there is a bit more work to be done because everything needs to be very well prepared. But as I said, mainstreaming is not the case in every European project. And finally, we have the end users, so specific citizens group who may benefit from the developed results. And they may be interested in using those results. So it's important to remember the word dissemination. It's important to remember the word exploitation, and this categorization of target groups of your activities to start drafting your communication and dissemination plan. And the first step in designing the dissemination plan is exactly this. So clarifying the target groups of your activities. What are the next steps? So after you know who is your target groups, so to whom the the project will be communicated and disseminated, it's good to have some phases of the dissemination planned. This is especially important in longer projects like 2 years, 3 years, when the project has a quite long time frame and there may be various messages needed on various stages of the project. Here the phases will be probably the same as the main phases of the project. I guess you have already practiced this while you've been doing your Gantt chart in one of the previous assignments. So if you have several phases of the project, it's good to design a dissemination for each phase, because as I said, the message may be a bit different on each phase. The next task is to clarify the key messages to the dedicated target groups. So what kind of message is communicated and when? As you can imagine, the target groups may need various communicates. So for example, in our project, I would communicate differently with my direct target groups, so other CSOs, where there are people I know, I can speak informally to them. But I would communicate differently if I would like to address the training and education department at the city council. They would need some more formal approach. So this is the way of fitting the communication to the specific target group. When I've done it, I shall clarify the media, so the means of communication I will be using. And again, it may differ depending on the group, because you are expected to reach with the message where the group is. It's hard to expect that people, organizations, institutions will just come to you and say, hello, we've heard you've doing something interesting, give us the results. Well, some will, but most of them won't. So you need to reach them where they are and provide them an information which will be attractive to them in the right way done. Then it's good to clarify the intended outcome of the message. What would you like to achieve with this message? For example, when we've been disseminating the information about possibility to test the mentoring pilots, we've been expecting that each partner will recruit 2 organizations which would like to participate, and we did the dissemination own way in each country. But this was our aim. For the national training, our aim were to build 2 groups of course participants who would test the pilot national trainings. So each message has some kind of expected outcome you would like to reach. And then it's good to also clarify the responsible parties who would do the dissemination. Obviously, it's a task for all the partners, but you may also divide some specific tasks among the partners. I guess I will come back to this subject also later. So the first step I have already told about is the definition of the target groups. And here we have the second step, the phases of dissemination. Here is an example of possible project phases. I'm not sure if you have the same phases in your project concepts. You may have different, but for example, it could look like that for the first half year you are funding some baseline and you're making some additional needs analysis or research to learn more about your target groups and their needs. Then you have a second phase when you design specific solutions and when you produce those so-called outputs and results. Then there may be a testing phase when you test solutions and adjust the solutions according to the evaluation of the participants. And finally, this is this final phase when you have everything planned, done, or the results are there. And here there is this exploitation level when you can really show all the work done and have a quite intense dissemination speaking about the results of the project. In the project design, typically there is a partner meeting at the start of each phase. It's a good solution in order to prepare the phase. So at the partner meeting, you may also discuss the main areas of dissemination for the next project period. And of course, a meeting itself is an occasion to disseminate information about it, at least in your media. And the other moment when the dissemination is expected is the time when you have one of the outputs or results ready. For example, when we had the research reports done, we did a dissemination around this, informing that there are 2 interesting publications available. In one of them, you can read about key competences of a good international project manager and the needs the managers have in terms of support they are expecting to receive from their organizations. And in the other, you can read about the challenges and successes related to international cooperation, so you can get a glimpse what is the international cooperation about. So on this level, we disseminated this message. It was after the phase 1. On the next levels, we would disseminate other message on the other outputs and results of the project. Yes, and obviously the dissemination and exploitation intensifies as soon as the products and results are ready and are also ready for use to the other interested parties. So this was the second step. Maybe it's not necessary in shorter projects, but in longer projects it's worth to have it because it gives more clarity. And it makes it easier for you to define the key messages, which is the third step of planning the communication and dissemination process. And here we will have like recurring messages, transverse messages, and some specific messages. Obviously, the good message is a message interesting to the receiver. So our projects address a specific needs of specific environment, and it's good to inform that we are doing something to satisfy those needs. And here we may present what we do in short, precise statements. And the specific messages referring strictly to the outputs of the project, when we can inform what we have designed, what we have to offer, and then we can invite the end users and maybe other multipliers to use what we have delivered. The first step is to clarify the way you will be informing your target groups. And here again, various target groups may prefer various way of communication. Here you see the most common, most well-known methods of spreading information. First, you have a newsmails. Right now, the newsmails may be problematic because of the data protection right, but if you have a newsletter where people signed to voluntarily, obviously newsletter is a great tool to inform about what you do and also to disseminate the project information. Most of us have a website, most of us run some profiles in the social media. It's a good idea to have also something on paper. There are always groups which prefer to get something on paper, not only in a virtual form. Your people are for sure participating in other meetings, seminars, conferences, maybe trainings, when they meet persons that could be interested in what you are doing. And this is a great opportunity to also say something about it or maybe give a leaflet. This is a special address to the management bodies members. You are the people representing the organization outside. Probably you are present at various events. So if the subject of the event is corresponding with the project, it's always worth to mention what you are doing. Then obviously some of you write some articles, some of you may give an interview, some of you may have a contact to some decision makers, maybe researchers, maybe other multipliers. For example, some organizations may be members of some European umbrella organization or national umbrella organizations. And here you may also have a floor to spread the information. Probably you can think about some other ways as well, which will be specific for your organization. So this is just a tip. While designing the communication and dissemination, you will relate strongly on the assets and experiences and practices in your organizations. The fifth step is to clarify the intended outcome of the message. You may also think it's not really necessary. I just need to send the message, and why should I describe an outcome? But I believe it's good to have it, because this way you can also check if the message was good enough to bring this intended outcome. And here you would define the intended outcome, so the result of your message for the direct target groups, which may multiplicate your results. You shall design think about some outcome you would expect from the indirect target groups, which can see a value of what you do and may promote it wider. And obviously it's good to have an intended outcome for the end users, so the direct beneficiaries of your activities, to tell how they can have a use of what have you done. And the last step is the division of tasks. Probably you heard before in the previous presentation that it's really important to have a clear division of tasks so the work could go smoothly. And also here it would be important that you have some tasks division. Of course, in general, all the partners are responsible for dissemination, and each partner does it its own way, using own channels, own sources, own resources. The target groups the partner have an access to. But at the same time, it's important to have some division of responsibilities. For example, you may have a partner in the partnership who is great in visual material, makes a great, I don't know, pictures, storyboards, some short animations. Why not to use it? You may have a partner in your partnership who is excellent in social media communication. And again, why not to use it? You may have a partner who is a member of several European level umbrella organizations. So why not to use it? And here it comes again, the value of knowing your partners as good as possible. So you would know what they are good at, and so you could use their strengths for making your project better. Fine. So the last part of the presentation is about a special kind of dissemination activity, which is so-called multiplier event. We have already spoken about the multipliers. So this is exactly the main target group of this kind of events. This is the terminology characteristic for Erasmus Plus project. This is called a multiplier event. In other grant programs, it may be called differently. This is an event which is organized usually at the very end of the project, because its aim is to valorize, meaning further disseminate and exploit the key outcomes of the project to the main target groups in a sustainable manner. So at this stage, you already have all your outputs or your results ready, translated, presented in a nice form, and you are ready to share this work done, those new methods, those new tools, those new methodologies with a wider audience. Usually the multiplayer events are being organized both on the national level in each partner country and on international European level. Oftenly it's an European conference where all the partners are present and also external guests are invited. How would you do the multiplayer event? It depends strongly on the area and the specifics of the project. The most common ways are conferences, seminars, symposia. It could be a virtual event, especially recently. There has been virtual conferences appearing, and it also works. So it may be also a solution to, if we do an international event, it may be a solution to have a part of the event streamed, for example, as well. But I can also imagine interesting multiplayer events in form of concerts, exhibitions, maybe some theater plays or city games. It all depends on the character of the project, on your target group. It's good that it would be also attractive, not only very good on the merits level. Since organizing a multiplayer event usually is a challenge, there is sometimes a solution applied like a combination of various events. It can be done, it's absolutely fine. For example, our Italian partner, Lorenza, who will be speaking in the second part, there is in Italy an educational event every year in ESC, which is a great space to disseminate results of the projects related to education. This is a big, well-known and attractive event, and the people who come there are interested in education. So this is your target group. So at this event, you may easily add your offer. Of course, if you are in good communication with the organizers. In Poland, for example, we have here an informal network called Europe Cafe, which gathers organizations interested in European matters. And recently we also organized our multiplayer event combined with a cyclical meeting of the Europe Cafe team, which was also relevant because we developed European level solutions. So this is also a solution that you may use. Obviously, you may make an independent multiplayer event, but it's also possible that you join forces and join the other event organized. And maybe a word of explanation concerning Erasmus+. Probably Rafał told about it, but Erasmus is a good example. In Erasmus, you have those two kinds of partnership projects. The more simple, let's say more simple kind, which is about exchange of experiences and good practices, which is really intending for people to meet, to talk, to exchange experiences. And in those project line, you will not be expected to do a multiplayer event because you are not producing, you are not expected to produce outputs. And there is the other more challenging project line, as a project supporting development of innovation. This is the kind of projects when you develop so-called intellectual outputs, which are the innovative products, methods, solutions that are then to be used by a wider groups. And in this kind of project, you can get an additional budget line for a multiplayer event. And in fact, it is expected that you organize such a multiplayer event, because as I said at the very beginning, this is a public money. You should get the best value for money at each step. So also while producing something new and useful for the others, you should spread this information widely that you have produced something interesting and useful for the others. And this is a good message that you have additional budget, so you can make a really quite good a multiplier event, and you don't need to worry about resources to have it done. I'm almost finished with this subject. Maybe the last thing I would like to say is that the key to European level project are that the results and outputs you would produce would be useful for the others. So not only for your organizations, but also for the others, especially your target groups, the direct target groups and the end users. And if your results and outputs are useful, so maybe applied by the others, the dissemination is not such a heavy task because you really have something valuable. So it's natural you want to promote it. And the nice thing, or maybe not so nice thing, is that the things are offered for free. Since they were funded from the public money, they must be offered for free. The attitude to things offered for free may differ. You may have various experiences with that, but still I believe it's a great value to have a quality methods, tools, ideas delivered by European partnership that you can use, adapt, and benefit from. Yes, I guess this is all I wanted to say in this part. So I guess now it's time for, no, there is one last thing I would like to show, because I was speaking about dissemination, and at the end I would like to show you an exemplary dissemination report that is usually being done in international projects. It's being done cyclically by each partner organization, because when you design a project and then write an application, you declare how your dissemination process will look like. You also declare how many persons you will be able to reach in what groups. So since you declare it, you need to deliver it. And this is why this must be monitored during the project realization. And here the partner responsible for dissemination provides some kind of reporting template, which each partner fills in. How often, it depends on you. You will decide if it would be every 3 months, every half year, or differently. But it's important, so it would be done the same way by all. So at the end, to the final report, you could report your dissemination activities and tell what have you done in this field, how many people were you able to reach, and what were the results of the dissemination activity. So here is an example. I like it very much. It was recently shared with us with one of our partners from Portugal. I believe it's worth to show it. There is a nice thing here, as you see those little letters like L, R, M, E, O. This is the level of dissemination. It's like maybe local, maybe regional, maybe national, maybe European, maybe even outside Europe. It's important to know then if you are doing European partnership projects, you are expected to reach the European level dissemination as well. Not only, but as well, because you are addressing a European level challenge and developing also European level solutions. And this is really it. So now I shall switch to the question mode, and I shall wait like 2-3 minutes for questions. If you have any questions, please ask. Okay, so I'm waiting a bit for possible questions. And finally, I shall present in short the assignment for today, that you may probably guess what it will be. Okay, I don't see any questions and anyone typing. Maybe it was too many strange words, and maybe it's just clear for you, because for sure you are doing the dissemination in your national activities. So it's just to bring them to the European level. So 1 more minute, if there will be no questions, I shall present my assignment, and I shall invite you to the coffee break. Okay, I still don't see questions. So if anyone would have any question in the afternoon, you may ask it during the afternoon session. Now a word about the assignment for today. And the assignment would be obviously to design a communication and dissemination plan for your project ideas. For those of you who are working individually, you may do it individually. There will be a template provided together with this presentation, and it will be sent to you by email in the afternoon. But for those of you who have been cooperating in international teams, I recommend very much to cooperate. So if you have developed a common project concept as the first assignment, I recommend you very much that you would here design a common communication and dissemination plan, taking into account the strengths and resources and potential of all the possible partners involved. It would be a good practice, I believe. And for those of you who haven't been working on a common project concept but still cooperating, please just consult the dissemination plan with a colleague or colleagues to see if it's clear, if it seems fitted to the target groups, if it seems attractive and feasible. So if it will be possible to implement, remembering that probably you will not have so much extra budget for this. Such a feedback is always valuable, so it's worth to make use of it. And the dissemination plan, I will try to show it, how it will look like, just in short. No, I'm afraid it wasn't uploaded, so I will not show you the template now, but you will get the template on your email addresses, and I will also speak about it in the afternoon session. So today you have a bit longer coffee break. We meet again at 11 o'clock for the second part of the presentation, which will be done by Lorenza from COS. So thank you very much for participating in the first morning session, and see you at 11 o'clock.